Yeah. I'm phoning it in.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, you want to phone it in tonight?
Yeah, I'm phoning it in.
Because we drove a long way today.
We drove a long way today.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week, not a long work week, but we had a lot of fun and a lot of adventures.
That is true.
Yeah, good and bad.
Good and bad.
Anyway, we're going to tell you about them. Here we go. There we go.
Do we want to start with the good or the bad?
Let's start with let's start with just camping in general.
Okay.
Let's go backwards
Okay.
like we do. So, we don't get to do it often, but we took a camping trip for the first time in a long time.
It's been a few years. I wasn't sure everything was going to work.
Right. And we were just able to get out of town Thursday, and then we came back. Today is Sunday, and we came back this morning. We were over in the Glenwood Springs and Aspen areas.
Yeah, south of Glenwood Springs. So we were like southwest of Aspen. Basically, we were just north of the Maroon Bells Snowmass area.
Right. So definitely not in either of those towns. I mean, we went through both of those towns, but
Both those towns meaning
Aspen and Glenwood.
Yeah. Right.
Carbondale, that kind of area. There is so much stuff there, and the mountains are so big.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awe-inspiring. It makes me feel so small in a great way.
Yeah. And the views are just nonstop.
They're Colorado postcard views, and the weather was great. Well, great if you don't camp at 10,000 feet like we did.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That was part of the bad experience.
But there's these huge snow-capped mountains, and, whether they're in the distance or sometimes we were like right up on them.
Yeah.
And you did an amazing hike all the way up to some snowy areas both times. So there are places where it's high enough that there's still snow on the ground, quite a lot of snow on the ground. The first one we went through Aspen, and actually this is awesome. We'll cover the camping part first. So we went to what's called dispersed camping, which is just open spots.
Yeah. Although these are actually numbered, so it's dispersed camping is getting a little less dispersed than it used to be.
It really used to be you could just go out there and just
pick a spot and camp and try to leave no trace. Now they're numbered spots. You're not supposed to camp where it's not numbered.
Right.
But you don't have to pay.
But we were way up a valley, and we wound up camping at least 10,000 feet. 10,500. It was high.
Yeah.
And you hiked up to some beautiful snowy stuff, and we did have that view of that beautiful snow-capped mountain just right there. And unfortunately, it was pretty cold.
And you didn't
at night.
Yeah, and you didn't have the good sleeping bag.
Yeah. During the day, gorgeous. At night,
it got cold.
It got really cold. And I actually noticed, I think we were just kind of sort of getting ready for bed, or no, we were maybe starting a campfire, and I noticed that all of the aspen trees did not have leaves on them yet. And I was like, oh, wait a second. None of these trees, they're just barely starting to bud. And I was like, oh, it might get cold.
And it did.
And it did get pretty cold. That was unbelievably freezing. And you were so right. It was like cold, and then sometime in the middle of the night,
it just dropped. The temperature dropped it felt like so hard and so fast that it woke me up. Not just because I was cold, but like I felt the temperature difference.
Yeah.
Like, wow, it just got like 5 degrees colder really fast.
Really fast.
And then the reverse happened in the morning. Like once there was a hint of color in the sky, just like it wasn't black anymore because there was no moon, the temperature came up by 5 degrees, even though it wasn't anywhere near daytime yet.
But it really did. And that is the weird thing about being at that level of altitude. It's so changeable so quickly. But down the valley, more at like 9,500 feet, we got to see this awesome ghost town.
Yeah.
It's called Ashcroft. And they've relocated some of the buildings, and some of the buildings are not original to the town, but they haven't rebuilt it.
I think a lot of them were moved from other locations in Ashcroft.
Right, so that you got a sense of what
so they were in that town.
Right,
yeah.
You got the sense of the downtown as far as it wasn't full or anything.
But there were quite a few structures and a lot of really interesting signs. We always like to read the signs.
We love the signs.
And it was so fascinating This town boomed in 1880.
1880.
When a silver mine was just a few silver mines were discovered,
Yeah.
and it boomed quickly. And in the summer of 1882, they had a huge 4th of July. There were 800 people living there. There were contests and dances and 14 saloons for 800 people, and I think 14 prostitutes as well. I mean,
I don't.
It was like,
but and then at the same time, all these other ladies, they had this Victorian society, and they
Right.
were like all about we should keep up the ideals of the Victorian
Right.
femininity and all this stuff, and they clearly thought they were all going to get rich, and this was
Right.
going to be this boom town, and Ashcroft is going to be this big deal.
What better location? It was gorgeous. It's
It was
surrounded by
unbelievably
just
beautiful.
spectacular view down the valley one way and a view up to the snow-covered mountains on the other, and there's money pouring in. And so 1882 was just a big party, and they had photos of like people on the streets. And we could just imagine like the ghosts of these people being like, "Oh, we've got it made. We're starting this gorgeous new town. It's going to be resort town."
And they were bringing in they brought in a printing press.
yeah.
So they could have a newspaper. They were like bringing in all this stuff. I mean, they just thought it was going to go. And then in 1883, the silver mine played out. And
that was it.
and that was pretty much it. And I think it stumbled along and maybe took another 30 years or something for it to become totally uninhabited. But it was just so amazing to be walking, and the path you're walking through was their main street. It no longer looks like a street. It's like a gravel path in a park.
Yeah.
But that was Main Street, and you're walking down Main Street, and you're seeing, like you said, if you look one way, it's the mountains, and the other way, it's
Yeah.
down this huge valley.
And you can walk into the post office and into the blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
You can see indentations still in the grass from where there
Right.
were like root cellars and stuff.
And foundations
Yeah.
and berry patches, and it was so interesting to be in a place that was like, they thought they were on the first rung of like, we're getting into the ground level, this is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And it lasted 2.5 years. So it was just
Yeah.
kind of an amazing.
And the main part of it lasted like 1 year.
1 year, yeah. And yeah, it was just such a fun part of history. It goes to, I say it all the time, but Colorado's got so much stuff in it that you just don't even hear about.
Yeah, we drove down from Carbondale south yesterday.
Right.
And we happened upon a little natural hot spring called Penny Hot Springs. So small that there was one little pool there was one guy already in it, and we got in it with him, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Boiling hot, like it would scald you if you touched the hot water coming out of the ground. And then we went a little further to the town of Marble.
Which is something else.
Oh my gosh, what a gorgeous town.
Yeah.
Surrounded on all sides by 13,000 foot snow-capped peaks.
And I mean surrounded. That little town is just like,
Oh, man.
yeah. And they have a beautiful, at the very end of the valley where you go in, it's called Beaver Lake, and it's, of course, it's a beautiful mountain right by it. Mm-hmm. And we ate at a really fun barbecue restaurant and just had
We were thinking it was going to be a super locals place because Marble doesn't feel very touristy.
Right.
It feels very local.
Right.
And so we drove by this place that's called like Slow Groove Barbecue.
Yeah, something that.
And we thought, oh, well, hopefully the locals won't look at us too funny when we walk up.
Right.
And we walked up and there was like some slick dance music playing, and I was like, this seems incongruous. It was something you'd hear like in Rhino.
Yeah.
At a shishi bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe this isn't the locals'
This
place.
isn't as local as...
It was still good.
It was good barbecue.
Yeah.
But, it was just fun seeing the town of Marble because so many of those houses were clearly... Those people live there year round.
Yeah.
Not a lot of vacation homes.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people there vacationing, as we were. But, yeah, it was a real blast. Any other highlights from the trip? Well, I'll give you one. You hiked up to Thomas Lakes?
Yes.
Yeah. And
On Mount Sopris.
Mount Sopris.
So it's not like I summited Mount Sopris. That would be a whole different endeavor.
Yeah.
But I hiked up to the snowy areas, like a couple of high alpine lakes.
Yeah.
And there's
They
a lot
would have
of...
definitely been. And I went halfway with you, ish.
And the views, even from the trailhead,
Oh, we're just...
the views were like 180-degree, 100-mile views
from
the trailhead.
From the trailhead. And then several places we got up to, even the halfway I went, you were just...
That was the best view of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you did the best part.
Right. I was just not quite in shape to do a whole
Well, it was
8 or 10 mile.
It ended up being, I think, 9 miles.
Yeah.
When all was said and done. Yeah.
I did 5 worth.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
So good first thing of the season. Yeah, and
and cows.
Oh my gosh.
So many cows, not on Mount Sopris, but at our second campsite. Oh my gosh.
So they do a thing on, I guess they do it everywhere, definitely on BLM land, which is Bureau of Land Management, and it's supposed to just be public, unformatted land, although now they're putting organized campsites on there and so on.
Yeah.
But they let cattle ranchers graze their cattle, and the cattle tend to prefer to be just right in the campsite with you.
Apparently.
Yeah. It was...
I had a bull, a cow, and a calf come and check me out while I was having coffee this morning. I mean, our faces were 6 feet from each other.
Yeah.
They were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, you don't want coffee, do you?
They were just everywhere. And I was awoken at 5:30 by this bull bellowing for a good 40 minutes.
And you have PTSD regarding bulls for good reason.
Well, I did get chased by one time,
yeah.
but...
well, not like... Yeah, I'm exaggerating with PTSD.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. But, they're large animals, and a bull in heat with unprepared human beings is not a great mix. So that was... you had to keep on your toes. I mean, it wasn't dangerous, but, still, they were just doing their whole cow thing. It was,
yeah.
It was loud and...
Lots of noise at sunup and sundown.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But, pretty nice campsite, and we had a great time. Boy, we ate good.
Oh, my gosh. Nothing tastes better than food you make while you're camping.
It really doesn't.
What did we have? We had tacos, turkey tacos.
Yeah.
We had
the pasta, Italian sausage, fresh tomatoes.
And zucchini. Yeah, that was the first night.
Yeah.
And then we had the barbecue the third night. Anyway,
yeah.
None of this is about music, but
None of
whatever.
this is about music. We're going to get to it. This is just what we did for half of our week. And it was great to get away and, see all those great views.
And we didn't even listen to any music the entire time.
We did not.
Not even on the drive.
Yeah, we really didn't. It was a nice break to just...
Yeah.
I had some stuff. I almost kept thinking I should bring up some mixes and since we're in the car anyway, can we just listen to these mixes and, I'll make some notes or see if you hear anything or whatever. And I was just kept deciding no, just going to take the time. Mm-hmm. Just going to take a break. Mm-hmm. And, so that was a great weekend.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
What about our week?
Well, you've had a few things going on business-wise. You had a huge day.
Gosh.
The day before we left for vacation.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, the day before we left, Wednesday. So many things happened at once. I onboarded our new employee, Paul. I went and took a look at 2 potential new commercial spaces for Performance High, which we would have to build out in both cases, so I don't know if we're going to do either one, but the location is great. I got notice from one of our subleasers at Performance High that he's going to leave, but at the same time, same day, I had 2 other inquiries for people who wanted to rent space. All of this happening on the same day. And I signed a contract to switch over from MindBody Online to a new scheduling system called Opus One. All of that happened on Wednesday. Feels like massive change is in the air.
Yeah, and then you got done with that and you cooked all the food for the camping trip.
Right.
So you had quite a day. I'm really excited about the Opus One from everything you told me. It is it's a scheduling software that will be how the school schedules lessons. Mm-hmm. But it seems to be so much more than that, and it seems to be just MindBody Online might be good, but it's not really just for music schools, and this is focused on...
Yeah, MindBody Online is for everything but music schools, really. It's for gyms and yoga studios primarily, taekwondo studios, you name it, stuff that's really focused around classes, drop-in classes, maybe some private sessions, and we're really using it as heavily as can be on the private lesson side.
Right.
So, Opus One is built for music schools, and the features that are built into it just really align better with the way we run business. So I'm excited about that. It also does include the email campaign functionality,
right?
Which MindBody Online charges a lot more money for, like a lot more money for.
Yeah, right.
And it has sales pipeline functionality, which again MBO also has, but it's buggy and costs a lot more.
Right.
And then, oh gosh, there's like two-way SMS texting built in, so all of the communication between the client and the school is centralized and it's in one place.
Right.
We might have to change our phone number, actually.
Yeah.
But, there are so many advantages
Yeah,
to
the
it.
communications thing to me just sounded so much more powerful, so much more easy to get in touch with people.
Yeah.
The ability to, you were telling me, just go, I'm going to just text everybody who has a lesson this Tuesday, or even I can text all of the one teacher's lessons.
Right.
And it'll just go out to everybody who...
It seems like you can kind of just like create your own filter. Like I would like to text all the students who have lessons Monday through Friday this week with Joe who take guitar. Send a text to all of them.
Right.
Or, like you said, I mean, it seems like that might be the functionality. I hope I'm not overstating it.
Even if it does a little bit of that, I mean, obviously that's just a manpower-intensive thing to do. To like go in and look and see who,
And people are going to be able to self-serve so much more easily.
Right,
like
which is...
rescheduling their lessons and, doing everything they want with, we're moving into the modern world here with Opus One.
I guess so.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of my time coming up, getting that set up.
Right.
But let's see, we mentioned that there was something like an adventure that was not so much fun this week.
So I lost a good day and a half of work, kind of at least, when I could least spare it.
Yeah.
I was so expecting to be able to finish a large project this week, but I could not. And the reason was because there's a company called iLok. And they make this little thumb drive thing that goes USB into your computer, and you just plug it into your computer. And the idea is that all of your software licenses, right, the authorization to use these softwares, lives on that little thumb drive. And when you stick it into your computer, then it authorizes the software that you need to use. And as it turns out, that is not strictly true anymore, depending on how you have it installed. It does have the license on the thumb drive, but everything now is subscription. So you don't own something like I paid $300 for this software and it's just my software. It's like, no, now you pay $30 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month. Almost everything is moved to this subscription model. So now when you put your little thumb drive in with the licenses, it needs to connect to the company's website to make sure all your subscriptions are current. And their website went down for quite a while, which meant that I could not open any software whatsoever.
Any music related.
Any music related software. I couldn't open even the video editing software because it loads some of the audio plugins so that you could mess with the audio in the video.
Oh my gosh.
So I was completely knocked out.
Along with, I would think most people in the world who use this. I
think almost anybody who's got more modern stuff and a computer that goes online and those subscription services. Yeah, it was an unbelievable freeze. I mean, it was just, I could sort of get one of the softwares, which is the main one I'm using for the big projects I've been doing lately, and it would load, but it would take about 30 minutes to load. Like, it would just go, because then it would it would basically be this thing like, your subscription isn't valid, but we're going to give you 10 more days. But it would take you'd get an error message and you'd say, yes, okay, continue. Another 15 minutes, another error message would come up. And you'd say, yes, okay, continue. And then it would finally load. And then, of course, it would crash in about 20 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
So I goofed around trying to just get some little stuff done, hoping beyond hope that we could just finish this thing up with a few little moves, and we tried that for about 3 hours and then
ouch,
and then just bailed and was like, oh, okay, I guess it's not going to happen this week. And and then the website finally came back online. I've not currently figured out what I'm going to have to do to make sure that can't happen again, because that could be incredibly problematic. Like in this case, it was like, you know, not life or death, but I have clients come in from out of town sometimes.
Right. If this had happened last weekend when Jenna came from Wyoming.
Yeah, she came
8 hours away.
8 hours away. And it was just, their error message was like, yeah, we know it's down. We have no idea when it's going to be back up. Don't contact support.
It is inexcusable.
Yeah, I mean...
Absolutely.
That could have been...
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
For such a huge company.
So I really need to... I haven't looked into the options yet, but I need to figure out some stuff. And it's looking like it just means I may need to migrate away from some of the software I'm using. Because I just can't have that happen.
Yeah.
You know, where I just lose the functionality of everything.
Yeah.
You know, because I have other audio software that doesn't need the iLok, but some of the third-party software does. Mm-hmm. And it needs to scan that third-party software and make sure your subscription is okay. Mm-hmm. And then that would crash that software every time because it couldn't validate. And it just, you know, I don't know what's going on over there. Apparently, I've been very lucky, and this has not happened to me yet. But when we were Googling it, and my assistant Amaya was Googling stuff about it, because she was in that day, and apparently it has been happening. Maybe it only happens for 2 or 3 hours. Occasionally it happens for like a day, like it did for me. But it's been happening every 3 to 6 months, and I have just gotten lucky.
My gosh!
And for whatever reason, have not been in the studio when there was an outage for whatever combination of reasons.
That is unbelievable.
So I've been dodging bullets for years now, and didn't know it because I had never had a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I got to revamp everything, and it's kind of the worst time to have to like go through and figure out how am I going to do all the things, and I got to throw away some of the tools that I use every day because it's possible they could not work if their website is down again or whatever, and then that's going to make everything not work. So yeah, it's really...
There are ways to ensure better uptime than that. I mean, it's not trivial.
Right.
But for something that is a linchpin for millions of people around the world.
Millions of people. Yeah, I don't know. I can't speculate. It would be irresponsible to speculate, but iLok has been the default license protector thing for decades now. And you know, who knows what the story is over there, but you know, the idea was always that because you had your little thumb drive, your computer did not need to be online to authorize your software. And now in this new world, that is apparently not the case, and I'm trying to figure out how to get around that. But boy, what a panicky afternoon. I was just losing my mind, and then we had half-zen practice that night, so I was like barely able to focus. Although they are already writing new tunes.
Wow.
The album, it's a 10-song album, just came out in May, and they're already writing new songs.
Wow.
So, yeah, more stuff coming. And speaking of stuff coming, we've got a big weekend with Cody.
Yes, we have 2 gigs with Cody and 1 gig with the Petty Nicks Experience. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, we have 2 gigs on Saturday and then 1 on Sunday. And then we have a good handful of new songs with Cody.
Right.
But I am lucky because most of the new songs are songs I charted in my big session of learning new songs last year, where I was learning all the dance tunes. So he's adding a bunch of dance tunes. So I think I only have 1 to learn brand new, and it's Jenny 865, whatever that phone number song is, 8675309.
Yeah,
which I'm sure by listening to it once I'll remember how it goes and be able to
right. Yeah.
I doubt it's that hard.
It's a crowd pleaser. But yeah, so we've got the Petty Nicks show Saturday night, and that's an outdoor one, so fingers crossed for weather there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. This time of year could be uncomfortably hot. It could be raining. We'll just see. Colorado. It's going to surprise you. Yeah, and then the 2 Cody gigs. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Do you want to close this one down?
Yeah. A lot of music. It's been all software and travel this week.
All software and travel this week. I will maybe try to put in some pictures if I do this one.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Just give you guys something to look at, since we're not talking music this week. But it was I felt like it was a good break, It's exhausting. I mean, Colorado and the mountains, it's rough territory. Like, it is not going to be, it's going to beat you up. Like, that's
it's going to beat you up, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we can do our segment on takeaways.
Yeah, we can do takeaways.
We've got takeaways this week.
We do have takeaways this week.
One of yours is?
Dress like it might be 20 degrees, no matter how unlikely it is that it's going to be 20 degrees.
It's Colorado.
Yeah, it's Colorado.
Good idea. Yeah. If you're going to the mountains, it could snowstorm at any time.
Kind of at any time.
Not that we're hiking to the top or anything, but
no, but yeah, you get high enough and it starts getting dicey. It could, it's unpredictable. But what's another takeaway?
Another takeaway is dispersed camping is a lot harder to find in Colorado than it used to be.
Yes, it seems like there are just more people. Even the second camp, the first campsite we were at, no one around.
Right.
A few people sightseeing up the road.
No one around for good reason, as we learned.
Yeah, but I mean, after 6 in the evening, like, we didn't see another human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the second campsite was labeled as free on a website that we used to find free dispersed and established campsites, and it was not free and it was not dispersed. It was a paid campsite with 5 spots real close to each other.
And we were not, as we found out sort of when we were driving out, we were like, oh, we're not. We felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. We weren't actually that far, but to be fair, we were not close to any. We were kind of. That was an out of the way campsite. That was not on the main, kind of drag of places everybody goes, and it was still full. So
takeaway is we are going to just go ahead and make reservations at campsites from now on, because we had people driving up 2:30 in the morning to our campsite looking for a space to sleep. Yeah,
and there was a group camping site on the other side of the road, which was intended for. Like, if you have 30 or 40 people, or a family camp 20 people, and people were just apparently pulling in there, because when we got up in the morning, there were like 4 or 5 cars in there.
They probably just couldn't find any other place to be.
Yeah, so Colorado, it's going to have to be a little more planned. We used to just wing it,
I know.
Wing it. We Let's totally just go this direction.
I know. We'll find a place to sleep. Yeah. Although there was that one time that we really couldn't find a place to sleep, and we ended up pulling into a KOA campground, because it was like 10:30 at night, 11 or something, and we couldn't even find a spot in the KOA.
Yeah.
And so we squished under a tree that was not a spot at all. We slept. We tossed some money. We put some money in or something, but we got out before they even opened in the morning.
Yeah.
Felt so bad, you're like sneaking into a campsite, trying to be quiet because everybody's already gone to bed. You're like closing the door really gently. Walking around trying to get ready for bed.
Yeah, it's apparently a lot of people were doing that this weekend. That weren't us. Yeah, that's a good takeaway. You just got to plan more. I think the flip side of it sounds like such a bummer, but the flip side of it is that, if a lot of people care about the resources and are using those resources will get taken care of, because people will want them to be preserved and they will want them to remain viable. Right. When things are too uninhabited or whatever, like my favorite place in the world, the Wakulla River, it used to be more clear than you could believe. You could see the bottom in 30 feet of water. Like, you'd look down in the water and there'd be an alligator sitting on the bottom in the water, and you could see him perfectly clear. And due to, pollution and people using too much lawn fertilizer and stuff like that, it is no longer a clear river. And because no one was really using it, no one was really out there, no one started getting upset when it started going bad, other than the few people who were going out there. Yeah. And, that's just a case of something being like, oh, it's great that it's, this unfound secret place and stuff. And a few people know about it. It wasn't like nobody knew about it, but you could definitely go out on the river all day and maybe see one other boat or something. And as a result, no one cared to protect it.
Yeah.
And,
I feel like Colorado is protecting its spaces.
Yeah.
Which is great. And if that means that everybody has to make reservations for campsites, that's there's too many people here.
Yeah.
To just let everybody camp wherever they want and leave their waste everywhere.
And if that's what it takes to keep the natural resource safe, then, you know, that's better than it being permanently ruined.
Yeah.
As we saw in Ashcroft, where they managed to...
Yeah.
They were only mining for like a year, and they managed to completely pollute their river. With
the mining company was upriver from the town, and they dumped their waste into the town's water supply.
They were just dumping the mining waste into the town water supply. So after a year, they were like shipping water in from another valley. Because they...
Even though the town was right on a gorgeous creek.
Right on a gorgeous creek. And
humans, man.
I'm telling you.
Jeez.
You gotta, you know, if you gotta... Sometimes you gotta make some sacrifices to keep it safe. And that's great. We'd love to thank our sponsor for this podcast, the Ashcroft City Council and their tourism district. We have not been able to get a hold of them. But I'm sure when we get a hold of them, we'll get that check.
I thought I heard them whispering to me when we were up there.
Okay.
I couldn't quite make out what they were saying, though.
Yeah, well, they have not picked up the phone, so... Anyway, we're sponsored, as always, by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.